Hey, coming up right now, Miami Beach is breaking up with spring breakers. We're going to tell you why they've released a commercial that's going to explain why it's you, not me.
Also coming up, one expert who cleans airplanes says he can tell how dirty your house is by doing just one thing.
Ooh, and later, see why Rihanna is actually accused of phoning it in after she's paid $6 million to perform at a wedding.
$6 million.
That's some cash, man.
Daily Flash starts right now.
Get ready for trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. The fun starts right now. This is Daily Flash.
Hey everyone, I'm Andrea Jackson.
I'm Mitch English, and I know I said her name wrong. It's Rihanna, correct?
Rihanna.
Okay, yeah. It's one of those, well, a long time ago, I would say Rihanna or Rihanna because of the Fleetwood Mac song.
Or Riri.
Or Riri.
Yeah.
So, Oprah.
Tomato,
100%.
Tomato.
And as I was walking up, you know, your brain goes through the Rolodex of what you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
That's what happened there. So
All right.
I'm trying to explain my mouth.
You're okay.
What about hobbies? Matt, you got any that you've been practicing as a married guy?
Since being married, we got all these gift cards and stuff. I am collecting power tools again. And my dad, I threw out all my dad's stuff, and now I'm like, dang, I need this, I need that. Now
New stuff.
Yeah, I need stuff. Now I need power tools.
And, yeah, what's worse is when you buy a house and you have a garage or you have all this space, you're like, well, I'm going to need to put something in here.
Uh-huh. And then before you know it, your garage is filled with every tool that you may or may not use ever
When my dad
in your
passed,
life.
he left me 8 VCRs. So hopefully I don't end up with that.
One could only imagine what was
Great
in
boat
this.
anchors now if you want to use them as that.
Have you heard that Amazon is now in the business of selling secondhand luxury goods?
Okay, all right.
I did not know this, but they've got Amazon. If you go onto Amazon and you search luxury, they have their own website that pops up, and it's known as WGACA, What Goes Around Comes Around. They send people around the world to go pick up secondhand Louis Vuitton bags, Gucci bags. Now look, I looked at some of the prices today, and it's not that much cheaper than going in the store and buying something new. But they verify the authenticity of all of this, and it's through Amazon, but it's their new luxury Amazon.
That's interesting, because we consider it like eBay, but you don't know what you're getting. This is certified.
It's certified, and none of these people that go out and shop for these bags work for any of those retailers, but they do work for Amazon, and they do verify and certify every piece of luxury good that they sell on the site.
Well, and because again, we were just talking about tools, stuff you don't use anymore. So here's something that you're not throwing it away. At least you could buy it, purchase, because there's got to be a huge market for that.
Huge,
right?
yeah,
100%.
definitely.
Well, the city of Miami Beach sent a very strong message to spring breakers this month. We're breaking up with you. Check this out.
Hey, we need to talk.
This isn't working anymore.
And it's not us, it's you. We just want different things.
Our idea of a good time is relaxing on the beach.
Hitting up a spa or checking out a new restaurant.
You just want to get drunk in public and ignore laws.
Do you even remember what happened last March?
All right, the Florida city released a new ad, as you just saw. It outlines new rules for visitors. Campaign comes after Miami Beach declared, believe it or not, a state of emergency following 2 fatal shootings during spring break last year. It was the third year in a row that Miami Beach had to control disorderly crowds. Miami Beach officials said the city will implement curfews, bag checks, restricted beach access, DUI checkpoints, as well as very expensive parking fees. It also said that it will triple law enforcement teams at popular locations. And I know the big story is how these parking spaces, because the locals are a little upset about it, and to the point where they're going to there's people that are against what's going on because, look, I'm a business owner. Nobody's going to come down here if there's a $100 fee to park, and there's nothing I can do about it. And so I think they're going to wait and see how it turns out this year to find out if this is going to be something that they'll continue to do.
I think the issue is with the 2 fatal shootings last
year.
100%, and if you ask those business owners, would you rather us enforce parking and DUI checkpoints, or would you rather us shut down your street for a 2-day investigation for 2 fatal murders? Would you be willing, to work with us here? I think they'd probably be willing to suffer through the $100 parking fees.
Probably so. It does make it easier, though, for directions, because on their Yelp, they can put, we're the one with the 4 cars that were shot up, not and the red one instead of the 2.
Guys, I lived in Miami for 2 years.
And we're sorry.
A normal day is crazy down there, let alone adding all it. It's its own country. It's got its own rules. It's got its own laws. So them implementing this, I get it, but you're not gonna stop the craziness down there.
True.
You don't think so?
Miami happens. That's
I kind of liken Miami to Las Vegas, like 2 to 3 days max, and you're good.
Yeah.
Any more than that, and
you pass Fort Lauderdale, it's a whole different. You might as well have your passport ready.
I think what they're really trying to do is, and I. Just based off of that, when I hear like, look, we don't want you spring break, they're talking about the college kids that go down there getting drunk and everything. Yeah. They're going to have to, but now that they said that, it kind of gives it like, oh, they don't want us down there for visitors. Kind of, it has that feeling to it.
Yeah.
And, it's a gorgeous place if you want to visit. I mean,
oh my gosh.
That sort of thing.
Stunning.
I'm wondering, because places like Panama City, Florida, we saw a lot of businesses shut down because they made so much of their money during spring break. Matter of fact, even regular businesses, they made more money during that time than they would have all year, and now all that's gone.
Well, too, if you think about Miami, it's very expensive. They've got terrific restaurants. They've got specific architecture. I mean, there's so much to do and see down there. It's beautiful, but you're talking about a higher priced recreation area. It's not for low-priced tourism,
That's
right?
a very good point, yes.
Well, no one likes a litter bug, especially mile-high flyers who leave trash on an aircraft. One airline worker is warning jet setters their trashy antics won't fly in the air or on the ground. Take a look.
It doesn't matter how many times a flight attendant comes up and down the aisle with a trash bag saying, hey, do you have trash? I'll still put the trash in the seat. Y'all still have containers of food on the ground. Y'all still got Gatorade bottles in the seat. Why did I find a diaper under a seat today? Y'all are literally so nasty, and I can only imagine what your house looks like.
The airline worker did not hesitate to shame passengers for their sloppy behaviors. I'm kind of with them on this. I'm like, can you not pick up after yourself?
Well,
movie theaters are a perfect example. People leave their popcorn and their Coke on the floor because why? You can't take it with you and throw it in the garbage can?
They say, you said, you can't, why can't you pick up your stuff? In the thing, it says if your cell phone falls on the floor, don't reach and try to get it. And first off, no matter what size I am, I can't, if I have a harder time, I'm like doing this weird thing where I'm trying to reach down in my backpack.
Fair enough.
But to take away, if something falls on the floor, obviously, if they don't want you to go down and do it, maybe tell them, hey, look, I can't reach this. This is here. That sort of thing. But why not? Why would you just not care about who you are and what you're leaving behind? And again, I agree with this guy. I think that says everything about you, of how you act. It's 100%. The same people that don't put back shopping carts. Okay.
100%.
We know everything about you. I'm sorry.
Yep, that's true. All right, Rihanna getting scorched by fans for phoning it in during a recent wedding gig for India's wealthiest family. Riri earned $6 million to sing for 90 minutes for the billionaires. Video of her performance, they're making the rounds on social media with fans criticizing the singer for her lackluster performance. Rihanna's taken a step back from her music in recent years. Her focus has been on motherhood and other business ventures. Some fans said although she didn't give it her best, she did power through an impressive playlist of 19 songs. Okay.
Does the size of a crowd, I know when I was doing stand-up, the size of the crowd really affects you because you kind of get off of,
the feed. You feel the energy of the crowd,
of it. And you kind of wonder, well, this is a wedding. It's probably not as big as what she's normally used to do.
Yes.
And the whole time, you have to think in your mind, all right, $6 million, I better do something well. You know what I'm saying? Your value, or they go, well, I'm worth $6 million just to show up, that sort of thing. I don't know, but it would definitely make you want to think, hey, look, I'm getting paid a lot of money. I better perform at my best. And, maybe the crowd just wasn't into it. Maybe she didn't feel it.
We're talking $6 million for 90 minutes of work.
It's a lot of money, man. How cool is that?
Right?
All right. Easy way to make money, be a housewife. We're talking about the housewives of, any Bravo city. How about that? The ladies of the Bravoverse are now actually going to bat for Andy Cohen after former Real Housewife of New York star Leah McSweeney claimed in a bombshell lawsuit that the executive producer snorts cocaine. We're talking about the devil's dandruff with a few of his favorite housewives, several Bravo stars came to his defense. Now, in the suit, the fashion designer claimed that Cohen allegedly does hard drugs with several of the housewives and hands out special professional favors to them. Mick Sweeney, who appeared on 2 seasons of Real Housewives of New York, as well as 1 season of the spinoff The Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, claimed that Cohen and Bravo actually preyed on her alcohol problem in an attempt to garner record rating. Yes, I'm certain of that. That's what they do. The former housewife claimed that when she refused to get drunk, network employees tried to get others to get her on having an on-camera meltdown. McSweeney is now actually seeking unspecified damages, and I think going into it that that's what they're after. Especially, this is not a new franchise; people know about it.
Yeah, and I feel like in those situations on those reality shows, they ply everybody with a lot of drinking and a lot of liquid courage in order to get some good stuff on camera.
Yeah, I mean, almost that's where the truth sometimes comes out, unfortunately. We'll have our truth, but no alcohol right after this. Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English. Our next guest is Dutch life coach Maggie Maris, the author of Find Your Happiness, which is a personalized roadmap to self-awareness, growth, and lasting happiness. She's joining us right now, all the way from the Netherlands. Please welcome to Daily Flash. Maggie, how are you?
Hi, thank you for having me on your show. I'm great. I'm having a great day. Thank you.
Good. You know, it's so important that we actually have some kind of plan in our life. And we've heard this our entire life. And having a roadmap, as you say in your book here, kind of helps us and guides us in certain ways. And inside of your book, you have 4 key areas that folks should focus on. I want to start with the first one, believe in change. Well, that sounds like that's pretty common, but what do you mean by that?
Well, let me explain first to you before I answer your question.
Sure.
My journal is a coaching process and a journal in one book.
Okay.
And that combination is very powerful. Because if you want to achieve something in your life, right, you have to start doing something.
Indeed.
So these 4 steps came from my experience and will help you to find happiness and yourself. So to answer the question, believing in change, you have to ask yourself, are you open and willing to change? Because the book will make you become aware of your thoughts and your behavior, because our thoughts dictate our emotions.
Indeed.
So you will learn that change your thoughts into more positive one is so nice. And in the book, I will walk you through exercises to understand the roots of your behavior, because it's an introspective quest. You have to sit with yourself to get comfortable of being uncomfortable.
Okay. Well, you mentioned that, like finding out who we are, our authentic self, and we have to discover that as your next key focus here. And how does one go about doing that for the betterment of themselves?
Well, if you now know you can change, you must find out who you really are. And in this phase, you will discover who you are, what you need, and what makes you happy, because this is the journey of your self-discovery. This is a really exciting part of the book and very fun, because it's all about you. So here you will create like a happy list and a triumph list, and you will know how to deal with challenges and feedback, and you know what your dream life will look like. And if you know this, you are ready to take the next step and act on it.
And acting, it can't be easy, because if it was easy, then everybody would do it. So there's some fears that we have to actually handle, and that's your next focus, about facing those fears. Is it something that, should we have fears about what we're about to go through?
Well, I think having the fears is getting out of your comfort zone. That's actually what I mean with fears. You know, doing the things that are difficult, because that's where the growth is.
Yeah.
So this is in the part of taking care of yourself. We are responsible for our own happiness. So we must take care of ourselves physically, but also mentally. And if you do the work consistently, this is where the magic happens. I always tell the story of the plant, because just like the plant, if you give it water, food, and light, it will look amazing, right?
Sure.
So the same with us. Give yourself the attention that you need, and you will be amazing. And you're not only looking amazing, but you will also feel amazing.
Yeah. And your 4th focus is actually encompassing of all of that, and that is goal setting. But you say clear goals. What are clear goals?
The clear goals means actually that you are about yourself, because You know, this one, now we are aware of our thoughts and behavior, and we are willing to change. So you discovered now your true self, and you understand that taking care of yourself makes you stronger and more in control. So this is the last piece of the puzzle is now to create your plan, to write your roadmap to happiness, because the book will guide you into writing your dream life in this part. And the only thing you have left to do is to put this into action, because my journal will help you to achieve your goals by helping you to make a concrete plan to transform your life. Because we are the director of our own story. Yeah,
and you get to actually, in your book, it being a journal, you actually get to write it down as well. And I love that concept about actually, you have a guide. You can write in the book as well, your journal as well. It's called maggiesway.nl if you'd like to get a copy of Maggie's book. It's called My Journal. Visit again, the website, maggiesway.nl. And Maggie, thank you for joining us here today.
You're welcome.
All right, and then there's this. All right, Jackson, another day, another smuggling story.
No.
This time, it was 38-year-old Calvin Bautista who tried to get past the U.S.-Canadian border crossing, all by smuggling 2 young adult pythons in his pants. The dude was sentenced recently to a year of probation, fined $5,000. This is not the actual snake.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. They were discovered by U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers. He says he bought the snakes. They're worth about $2,500 at a reptile store in Canada. The Burmese python, it's one of the world's largest snakes, is actually considered a vulnerable species in its native Asia, and it's also invasive in Florida, where it threatens native animals. U.S. federal regulations list Burmese pythons as injurious to human beings, and I don't care if it's a snake. I don't want another snake coming in the United States at all. We don't need any more snakes.
No, we don't.
No more sneaky snakes in this place. Boy, I tell you,
I feel bad for those snakes.
Yeah, it's not
in his pants.
What a way! Yeah, what a way to come to America.
Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah, but here in Florida, we know this too well. People buy these exotic animals, and they are invasive to our flora and fauna, and we're losing all sorts of species down in the Everglades because they've got so many of these pythons they're trying to clear out.
They're buying them, and they're like, I'm tired of dealing with them. Let's let them out, and they know that because pythons are not from Florida, so when they see one, then they know that exactly that there'll be an issue.
Do you remember that picture of the python and the gator fighting?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that. And reptile versus reptile. I mean, it was one of those. I mean, felt like we were back in the Stone Age, but it's still
right, prehistoric time, waiting for T-Rex to come like stomping out.
There are some good things here in Florida, and Matt Doolittle actually had an opportunity to stop by the brand new. You love this place. It's called Evermore, and you're probably going to be changing your vacation plans once you find out about this.
I think so, for sure.
It's really neat. That's coming up.
Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Matt Doolittle. It's time for a little flash travel. This past week, we had the chance to explore one of the newest and largest resorts in Central Florida. Check out our tour around Evermore.
Stuart, this place is amazing. Can you tell me a little bit about Evermore?
Yeah, absolutely. So Evermore is the redevelopment of what was known as Grand Cypress. And then, so what we've done is we've taken, it's an 1,100 acre property. And so we've redeveloped it, including a Conrad Hotel, which is in the background here. It's 433 rooms hotel. And then we've added what we think is a sort of a groundbreaking home rental model. So it's a vacation rental model, but we own and operate all of the units ourselves. So it's like renting a home, but with resort-like services.
So as you walk into the building, you're greeted by a local market that we have, a gourmet market that we call Sandhill, right after the Sandhill Crane. So you can kind of procure anything that you need for in your home, so something to nosh on and snack. And we have a growing program. You know, we're bringing bees on property so that we can procure our own honey. But we do have lots of fruit, herbs, spices, different lettuces that are being grown right now that we're using. We do an in-home chef experience or an in-home mixology and bar experience. So if you wanted to have an event here, if you were bringing a family of 20 guests that wanted to stay in one of our 11-bedroom homes or even in one of our flats, we could actually send a team there to be able to interactively cook a meal, prepare cocktails, and just overall have a great experience with the guests.
And we're trying to build a better experience for people to vacation together. I mean, it really is designed for people who want to come and they want a relaxing vacation in a shared space that they can have more quality time together.
I have to tell you, it was an amazing time that sweet baby James and I got to experience, but there is one part that I left out, and you can see the whole video on our Instagram at dailyflash.tv on our Instagram. It's me going down the slide in one of the 11-bedroom homes, and well, here you go. This is 12 this. Oh. 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 Ah.
A lot of noises.
Oh. You can head to evermoreresort.com for more information. I'm sure we'll be out there soon for a bigger thing. But I got to tell you, man, I'm almost 40, and those little kid slides, they kind of hurt. So if you're going out there, just be careful. But it's an amazing resort. They got an electric boat that goes all over the place. It's awesome. So welcome to Is It True this week also. We are diving into the amazing world of television relics, and this one for sure is an icon. The iconic booth from the final scene of The Sopranos, the one that everybody got upset for, was up for auction this week. It is from the restaurant Holston's in Bloomfield, New Jersey. The shop isn't closing, they're just doing a renovation, and they decided to get rid of the booth. The booth where Tony Soprano, Camilla, and AJ wait for Meadow to finally park the car. The booth, which became a makeshift memorial after the death of James Gandolfini, the booth was seen as a must stop on the Sopranos tour. Guys, it went for $82,000. It started at $30,000 for the auction to kick off. But is it true you would spend $82,000 on a TV or movie relic? Is there anything you guys would buy?
Well, I would. You guys already know what I was trying to win it, and that was Dave Letterman's sign that they were auctioning off. You could actually win it, and it's a 20-foot by 10-foot sign. This is Late Show, so. Yeah, I guess that would be what I would want. Yeah, something I could do.
I can't think of anything. No, not to spend $82,000. My goodness, maybe a car, but I can't even think of which one.
Maybe like Captain Kirk's chair from Star Trek. That'd be kind of cool to have, right?
But how cool would it be if you had like a basement? Say you're in Michigan and you've got this basement that's awesome, and you just take your friends downstairs and go, have a seat in Tony Soprano's booth. That's kind of a cool moment. Then you got Journey rocking on.
And I was about to say that scene made me hate one of my favorite songs of all time because they played that "Don't Stop Believing" and then stopped it, and then the radio station started playing it again, and you heard it all the time. But yeah, I probably would. If you have the booth, you got to have the song, I guess, right?
I'm guessing maybe someplace like Hard Rock Cafe, maybe you bought it, or one of those memorabilia places, right? Where you can go to see it, and it's on. Yeah, it's on display somewhere.
It makes sense. I mean, I think similarly of the Seinfeld booth. I mean, they almost look the same too.
Yes, from Monk's Cafe.
From Monk's Cafe and that sort of thing. I mean, how cool would it be to have something like that? And as Matt was mentioning, for a man cave, I mean, you've got the quintessential, how cool, let's sit down and talk place to do it.
I automatically think of Archie Bunker's chair, but isn't that at the Smithsonian?
It sure is.
Maybe that's where the booth will go.
Maybe they might have purchased it and put it in there.
Maybe.
I know that the Fonz's jacket is in there as well. There's so much cool stuff there. And we've got more cool stuff coming your way. Trending news and entertainment. By the way, anything you want to check out, it's right there waiting for you on our website, dailyflashshow.com. More right after this.
This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. Trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash.
Hi, everybody. I am Mitch English.
I'm Andrea Jackson. This is Daily Flash, your source for trending news and entertainment.
Well, we had an unbelievable wedding we went to over the past weekend. That was Matt Doolittle's a wedding, and gorgeous, gorgeous time. I wish I would have actually talked to him about this, but I guess I can pass this on as well because there's some research out that talks about the secret to a long marriage.
Some wise wisdom.
Yes, but they've broken it down to like, if you do this, you're fine. First off, you have to have a 2-year age gap. I think there's about a 1.5 year between Matt and his one.
So that works.
4 kisses a day and doing your taxes 3 times a week, if you know what I'm talking about. Right? 3 times, that's the average if somebody has a long marriage. They also say sharing 2 hobbies, like you might, the wife might do something and the husband, but you both share in it. Also, they say that usually the longer lasting marriages, the first child arrives within 2 years and 2 months after the wedding. Not sure why that 2 months does anything. The study also found that the longest marriages involve a man who walked down the aisle at the age of 31, which is 2 years and 3 months older than their partner. So that's how they figured all that out. So interesting, just some things that I guess commonalities that they found in long marriages.
I like that, the age difference and also the kissing 4 times a day. I think that's important. Just those little habits are so important.
They also, obviously, with that, they also say saying "I love you" regularly too.
Yes. Those are all important. Well, the city of Miami Beach sent a strong message to spring breakers this month. We're breaking up with you. That is their message. Take a look.
Hey, we need to talk.
This isn't working anymore.
And it's not us, it's you. We just want different things.
Our idea of a good time is relaxing on the beach.
Hitting up the spot.
Or checking out a new restaurant.
You just want to get drunk in public and ignore laws.
Do you even remember what happened last March?
Yeah, the Florida city released a new ad campaign in which it outlined new rules for visitors. The campaign comes after Miami Beach declared a state of emergency following 2 fatal shootings during spring break last year. It was the 3rd year in a row that Miami Beach had to control disorderly crowds. Miami Beach officials said the city would implement curfews, bag checks, restricted beach access, DUI checkpoints, and expensive parking fees. It also said it would triple law enforcement teams at popular locations. Some of the parking fees up to $100 to park in a specific lot.
And to discourage and it seems like, well, if you're a local, that would really be annoying, but maybe they could say, hey, look, if you could show a local, your license is local, then maybe a different price, but then that's a little they had to make a blanket policy. I can understand that.
Is it just me, or do you find that in Florida, they just change locations? They get kicked out of Daytona Beach, they get kicked out of Fort Lauderdale, they go to Miami. They get kicked out of Miami, they go to the Panhandle.
That's what I was about to say, Panama City Beach. Having lived in near 2 cities that always had to deal with that, Panama City, they were just tired of it. They were I mean, they loved the money that would come in, but the trash and everything that was left afterwards, and the arrests and so on, and makeshift jails they had to do. And then Daytona Beach also had to go through the same thing.
And Daytona Beach, in their case, they had no idea they were expecting those kinds of crowds. It just sort of became the go-to second-hand default spring break place, and then all of a sudden they had thousands of college kids show up on the beaches, and they're like, oh my God, we don't even have a plan in place for this.
And now it's Bike Week. That was something that they're concerned about as well. And what's happening is, like, the smaller towns outside of these are actually, they'll start doing smaller events, but they're going to eventually get bigger if people realize, well, you can't go to these cities because they don't want you there, or it's going to cost $100 to park.
Bottom line, can you just behave?
You know, that would be nice. I love how the one said, you just want to come here and get drunk and break all the rules and that sort of thing. There's not everybody's like that, but it seems like that's what you do when you go down there. Is that mindset, is that you're at school and you're like, I'm ready. I'm ready to break the rules. Let's go do it somewhere where 10 guys can live in a hotel room for a week.
Now, I would say before cell phones, you were probably okay. But now that there are cell phones with video and cameras and pictures, you might be risking a lot more than just a bad drunken night.
Yeah, and it's something that, again, the rest of your career possibly can follow. So keep that in mind, all right? Just take it easy and follow the rules. I think you'll be fine. We have more Flash coming up. Daily Flash, of course, is online. You can check out our website at dailyflashshow.com. Look for us on all social media, dailyflash.tv. Trending news and entertainment is coming up right after this.
Welcome Welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Andrea Jackson. It is time to talk finances and the FIRE movement. Here to talk about financial independence, retire early, is Kathleen Elkins, senior investing correspondent for Business Insider. Hi, Kathleen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. You investigate investments. We love that about you. What are some challenges people are finding in this new FIRE movement, and what is it all about?
Yeah, so the FIRE movement is essentially this movement where people are saving the majority of their incomes in order to exit the 9-to-5 grind before the traditional retirement age. And, obviously that sounds great. There are definitely some benefits. It means you can go to yoga at 11 a.m. if you want to. But as one of my colleagues and I started to hear from some of our sources, there are definitely some major challenges as well. And we were lucky that some of them opened up to us about, some of the realities of quitting their day jobs early.
Yeah, talk to us about some of those realities. And if you decide to retire early, how can you kind of protect yourself from some of the, potholes or speed bumps along the way?
Totally, yeah. So for starters, there's this fear of running out of money. You no longer have guaranteed paychecks hitting your bank account every month. And you also may go from having some nice employee benefits. Maybe you have a 401k plan, maybe you have health insurance, and now you have to figure that out on your own. And then what we're also hearing from some early retirees is kind of this feeling of losing a sense of purpose that a steady career brings. And then finally, there's just curveballs. There's, the spike in inflation in recent years. And so things cost a lot more maybe than early retirees are planning on. And so what a lot of people are doing to kind of safeguard against this is they're still working, maybe just part-time and working kind of more on their own terms as opposed to a full-time 9-to-5 job.
So what are the key factors we should consider when we're thinking about either retiring early or returning to work after we've retired too soon?
Yeah, I think it's really important that if you are retiring early, you build a big enough nest egg. And so a very popular rule of thumb in the FIRE community is called the 4% rule. And this basically helps people figure out their number and how much money they need to last them in retirement. And it's a pretty simple rule. You basically figure out how much money you spend per year, maybe just for simple math, let's call it $50,000 a year. And then you multiply that by 25, so that would give you about $1.25 million. And then 4% of that is $50,000. So that's your number. So you want to make sure that you have plenty of funds to last you, and that's kind of it's not a perfect rule, but it's a helpful starting point.
And then what about if you decide you've retired too soon? Are there penalties involved if you decide to go back to work after you've made this big decision to call it quits?
No, some early retirees I've spoken to have actually gone back to the 9-to-5 world. They kind of experienced some of these challenges that we talked about, decided it's not for me, and I want to go back to that steady paycheck. I think what a lot of people are also doing is just finding ways to work part-time and working on their own terms as opposed to working full-time.
I think the gig economy probably helps a lot too for older retirees because it does give them that flexibility they're looking for.
100%. We have some early retirees who are doing side hustles anywhere from, starting a YouTube channel to running blogs to, building courses to help people, do the same, retire early and quit their day jobs. There definitely are side hustle options out there. And for these people, there's a big difference between having to go to work and answering to a boss between the hours of 9 and 5 and working on what they truly want to work on.
Great information. For more on FIRE, financial independence, retire early, check out businessinsider.com or dailyflashshow.com. Sugar is a big part of everyone's fight in their diet, and one doctor has a new approach which could be a game changer. Dr. Nicole Avena joins us to talk about her new book, which gives us 7 very important steps to change our body for the better. Welcome, Dr. Avena.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
So let's talk about sugar. We all know it's not great for us, but why would you say it's really a bad choice?
Well, there's so much research that's coming out over the past several years that's shown us that sugar is linked not just to obesity and being overweight, but also to so many different medical issues. It's linked to diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancers. And we're also now learning that it's linked to mental health issues. So, if you're really looking to make a change for the better in your health, one of the best things that you can do is to reduce your intake of added sugar.
So how can we cut sugar out of our normal diet? Because if you spend any time looking at the ingredients of stuff, it can be hidden in there and we might not even know it's there.
Absolutely. It is a real challenge. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to write my new book, Sugarless, which is to help people figure out how to do this. Because, like you said, there's sugars hidden in so many of the different foods that are out there. So, one of the things that I recommend is making sure that you're really paying attention to those nutrition facts labels. You want to be looking at the line that tells you how much added sugar is in the product. And if it has more than 5 grams per serving, I say put it away and choose something else. You want to really try to focus in on reducing the amount of added sugar because so many of these products have it. And when you're having even just a little bit of it throughout the day, it can really add up very quickly and be much, much more than is recommended by the present government guidelines.
And it probably changes our body in so many different ways, maybe subtly that we don't even realize. How can we change our mindset when it comes to the food we eat?
Yes, that is such a great thing. I'm glad you brought it up because I talk about this a lot in the book. It's really about revising our relationship with the foods that we eat. And I think that our culture has gotten so focused on convenience foods and highly processed foods that we've sort of gotten away from, understanding the importance of nourishing our body and in consuming things that are really good for our health. And so it's very important to think about the psychology of this and, not look at it like, oh, I'm depriving myself because I'm not eating that cupcake or I'm not eating, that ice cream cone. Look at it like I'm choosing to eat something healthier right now so that maybe later on, if I decide I want to, intentionally have some sugar and maybe have an ice cream cone as a sweet treat, then that's fine. But I think it's really about, looking at our holistic approach to our diet, the things that we're eating all the time, so that we can cut out sugar where we don't need it. So that way, when we do want to enjoy it, we actually can.
Does it really come down to a craving when it comes to sugar, or do we just get so used to having it, it's tough to let it go?
I think it's a little bit of both, actually. I think that sugar's become so normalized. I mean, if you think about it, you look at the grocery store products, 68% of grocery store products contain added sugar. So when you go shopping, you are most likely coming home with a cart full of groceries that have added sugar in them. It's become very normalized. So in part, yes, we've just gotten accustomed to consuming it all the time. But it's also, too, the marketing and the advertisements and the social pressures. You go to the office, people bring in donuts, you go over someone's home, they offer you, something delicious to eat. And I think that normally those things would be fine if they were once in a while, but it's on the background of this constant stimulation from sugar all day long.
One last quick question for you. Where do you stand on fruit? Because so many people talk about there's so much sugar in bananas, there's so much sugar in fruit, there's obviously a lot of fruit in fruit juice. What do you say?
Look, I've never met anybody who's overweight and has diabetes because they're eating too much fruit. It's not the fruit's fault. It's really not. It's really a great crutch to get you off of the added sugar from all those processed foods. So use fruit as your way to enjoy something sweet, and it's got fiber and other things in it that are great for you.
Dr. Nicole, thank you so much. The book is called Sugarless. For more information, head to drnicoleavena.com. Mitch will send it over to you.
Thank you there, Doctor. Thank you, AJ. Experts believe that the COVID lockdowns will actually have a lasting impact on the next generation of children who suffer because of it. Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris joins us now with advice on how we can support kids and actually help them manage stress.
Well, what we know is that stress can actually affect kids' health. And serious or prolonged stress, like growing up in a household where a parent is struggling with their mental health or substance dependence, or where they're experiencing abuse or neglect, can actually lead to prolonged activation of the body's stress response, something that doctors now call toxic stress. And that can lead to increased risk of things like asthma or diabetes or depression or anxiety. And without intervention over the long term, it can increase risk for things like heart disease or cancer. But the good news is that the research shows that safe, stable, and nurturing and relationships and environments can make all the difference in the world. They can actually help to regulate a child's stress response and prevent some of these long-term harms. So some of the ways that we can do that as parents and caregivers, in order for us to be a buffer to our child's stress, that means that we have to address our own stress response, right? We have to manage some of the stressors that make sure that we've done our healing and make sure that we're not still struggling with some of the stressors that we experienced in our own childhood. And for folks who are looking for resources for how they can address this, number one, I wrote a book about it. It's called The Deepest Well, Healing the Long-Term Effects of Childhood Adversity, or folks can go to numberstory.org.
A professional baby namer says parents are now selecting names that sound like good social media handles.
Oh, really?
40-year-old Steph Cofield says many new parents are thinking ahead to their child's social media profiles. That she charges up to $500 to help expecting parents choose the perfect name for their child. Talk about a way to make some cash. The stay-at-home mom says uncommon baby names are growing more popular. She includes examples like Ferris, Keaton, and Townsend for boys. For girls, it's Berdina, Doretta, and Velma. Another trend for 2024 is names with an IE ending, such as Lenny, because people are loving the IE ending for both boys and girls. Her love for uncommon names such as Rogue, Rebel, and Story are not a huge hit with everyone.
I'm not either. It just seems like that's such a personal thing. Like, why would you go outsource it to name your child? It's really weird. Especially when you see a child and you're thinking social media. That's it. I don't know.
Because I always think there's a special connection when you find out why your parents chose your name.
We asked somebody.
We paid someone $500.
Anyway, all right, everybody. Flash. We continue after this.
KSA Entertainment is proud to produce and provide a robust collection of entertaining, uplifting, and timely content to broadcast, cable, and streaming platforms in the U.S., Canada, and Puerto Rico. KSA Entertainment. On point, on air.
Welcome back, Daily Flash. Matt Doolittle, Andrea Jackson, Mitch English.
Indeed. You know, we were talking when we started off this half hour here about a long marriage, like the keys to it. Maddie, you're getting there. It's kissing 3 times a day, talking about saying I love you and everything.
Do that.
But they also say share hobbies, but also what about working together? And so I was talking to Jackson earlier this week about you and your guy were working in the back. It works. Can you guys work together?
Yeah, we can. In fact, that's how we met. Working together.
That's true, right?
But the nice thing is, you get to learn a lot about somebody just knowing them personally and in the work front, right? So that is really important.
Stress level.
The stress levels and what you can handle. But also we share a lot of hobbies together too.
Which is awesome. Now, there are some things where you get so comfortable with somebody. So earlier this week, we're building a little kind of like a pool house, little office out back. And so I was in charge of getting the place all set up. Well, Eliza was out of town. And so I go, well, I'm going to be super husband.
You're going to do man things?
Man things.
You're going to go Tim Allen?
I'm going to go. And so I went in, and so we bought this gravel that holds all the gravel in place. It's like a grid, and you put it out. Well, it went too long, and so when we were first initially installing it, I said, hey, I'll cut it off. And I thought she said, yeah, all right, whatever. So anyway, she comes back. We go in the back there. I'm telling you, now we've been married for a year now. This is probably the most high energy I've ever seen her get at me about, what did you do? Why would you cut? I go, I told you I was going to do that. Anyway, so we come down.
And she's usually pretty chill with you when you go sideways.
She's extremely, that's what I'm saying.
Very patient.
And we're in the backyard. Neighbors are listening to this. I'm like, okay. Anyway, so.
Planes flying over.
And I go, and she goes, well, just don't do anything without asking me first. I go, well, you do that all the time. And she goes, really, when? And I'm like.
Chances are what she does is responsible, too.
I go, I can't think of anything, but I know you have. And so then about like 2-3 hours go by. I'm like looking around. Oh yeah, she did that without telling me. But like, and she at this time
But
is
it's also
like,
stuff that's not bothering you.
Right. And she is so nice. She's like, hey, can I get your thing? And this time I was like, no, I can't yell at her, like saying, hey, you took those down or you changed this. So my brain. Anyway, so what we learned? Always ask the wife first before you do anything.
That's what I'll start learning.
Good call on that. Thanks y'all for joining us today.